Buhari directs Osinbajo to seek approvals for agencies under him. Basically, what that means is before Osinbajo does anything under those agencies that he manages, he must seek approval for the presidency. People, if you don't know what that means, let us translate for you. For those of you who do not know, it means Osinbajo has been stripped naked without any cloth. He is basically a paper tiger vice president. Buhari has stripped him naked of every single power that he has. This is once more Njenje Media channel. Subscribe to the channel. President Muhammad Buhari has directed Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to henceforth, meaning with immediate alacrity, to henceforth seek presidential approval for agencies under his supervision. This is according to the Cables Nigeria. You remember? Cables is an online newspaper, and actually not only Cable that reported it, it is everywhere in the Nigerian newspaper, and Femi Adesina actually also issued a statement on that regards. Under the law setting up the agencies, the president is empowered to give final approval, but according to what we have learned, that this provision, since in the whole first term, these agencies reported to Professor Yemi Osinbajo. According to the Cable, once more, the Cable learned that the directive to follow due process was issued via a presidential memo on Monday. That means yesterday. It appears the cabal are working tooth and nail day and night in order to ensure that Osinbajo is stripped of every single power. It appears equally that after they finish with Osinbajo, they would head to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. People, this is getting really, really interesting. The Yoruba nation must be at alert. Currently, Osinbajo is the chairman of the governing board of the Nigeria Emergency Management Agency, which they call NEMA, the National Boundary Commission, NBC, and the Border Communities Development Agency, BCDA. Osinbajo is also the chairman of the board of directors of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC, a limited liability company owned by the three tiers of government. In addition, the vice president is also the chairman. The vice president is also the chairman, the National Economic Council, a constitutional body made up of governors and key federal government officials, as well as National Council privatization. With the new memo, people, this is what it means. With the new memo, the vice president will now have to seek approval for contracts. So anything the vice president will now do as regards contract, as regards annual reports, as regards annual account, as regards powers to borrow and powers to make regulations, among key other functions, he must go to Buhari, beg down, kneel down, and beg Buhari for approval. Yesterday being Monday, Buhari appointed an Economic Advisory Council team members and disbanded the economic management team led by Professor Yemi Osinbajo. People, this is so funny. Hey, this Buhari, by the time he finishes with Osinbajo will be crawling on the floor begging. So, Bismarck Lawane and Professor Soludo are part of those that were appointed. Now, if you guys remember, before now, Osinbajo has been the chairman of the Economic Advisory Committee, which Osinbajo has been headed. Buhari had appointed Osinbajo the chairman of EMT during his first term, Economic Management Team, during his first term, although the position was held by ministers of finance under previous administration. We must note that as well. The reports that NEMA and National Social Investment Program, NSIP, you know what National Social Investment Program is? People, that is nothing but trader money. So look at this way. Everything that Osinbajo has, Buhari has taken it over, including trader money. Chai. This This is unbelievable. So what will be the vice president to be doing now that he doesn't even control trader money? He doesn't equally control the economic management team. He does not control a lot of a lot of other things. What will he be doing? He's no longer in control of NBC, neither is he in control of NEMA. Even the one under Obla, the assets recovery committee, he's no longer in control. That one, it has been actually been disbanded. That one no longer exists. Now, people, listen again. As you all know, this is what just happened yesterday. Now they continue to say that under Section 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, and 24 of the NEMA Act, it provides that the funding, expenditure, contract awards, and regulation must receive presidential approval. But that has not been always the case. The president had given Osinbajo the free hand to run. Now consider this equally, that the president is actually getting old and is old. One wonders, why would the president at this critical time, rather than give Osinbajo more things to do, because Osinbajo is young and agile and razor sharp in his thinking, the president is taking more powers away from Osinbajo. This is not something, this must concern all of us, because it could actually be that the Buhari does not even know that these things are happening. Things happen in Aso Rock that no one actually can say where they are coming from. It could be that the cabals are the ones pulling all this plug without even the president being aware. Anyway, has he ever been aware of anything? Remember one time he sent his transmission IGP to go to Benue when people were killed in Benue. He wasn't aware that the Mr. Transmission Transmitter went to Nasarawa State and people kept dying in Benue State. What a tragedy. President Muhammadu Buhari has dissolved the special presidential investigation panel for assets recovery of public properties as currently constituted, with Obono-Obla as the chairman. What it means, this is a committee that was left under the vice president. If you remember again, the vice president is a professor of law that understands the law and knew what Okoi-Obla was doing. Now, why would a president who is fighting corruption take away or even disband in its entirety, rather than encourage the vice president to be up and doing as regards assets recovery and property stolen by government officials? Are they trying to get back to Osinbajo? Because people, this is so weird. In one day, all these things are happening. Okay, so this was contained, this disbandment of Obono-Obla's committee. This was contained in a statement issued on Tuesday, that is today, by the special advisor to Mr. President, who is the media and publicity special advisor, that is Mr. Femi Adesina. According to Mr. Adesina, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice has been directed to immediately, that means this sounds like a military time, immediately take over all outstanding investigations and other activities of SPIP. That means the Special Presidential Investigation Panel, okay, for as a recovery of public properties. So basically, this is unbelievable. This sounds more like a military era, when military always say with immediate effect something is done. The panel, if we all remember once more, was established in August 2017 by the then acting president, Professor Yomi Osinbajo, to investigate especially mandated cases of corruption, abuse of office, and similar offenses by public officers. If you remember, that was when Buhari was in London hospital. That was when Professor Yomi Osinbajo, who is agile, who is humane, who is also like a human being. He does things. Remember, he was the one that sacked the head of DSS when they invaded the National Assembly. But Buhari came back and replaced him, with another person, the person that we have now. Osinbajo has been working very, very hard. One, it bothers us. What could be the reason why Osinbajo has been stripped naked every single power that he has, the things that he's been doing, and he's been doing them well, he has lost all the powers. President Buhari in the statement thanked all members of the resolved panel for their services, well, those ones are lip service, while looking forward to receiving the final Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission ICPC report on the ongoing investigations. The panel was established again, as we said before, in 2017, August, by the then acting president, that is Professor Yomi Osinbajo. President Buhari, again, thanked the people, saying, well done. But why is it that people went to office yesterday and they had a job? Today they came to office and they no longer have a job. And it is also curious to note that this panel was approved and constituted by the vice president when Buhari was in the hospital in London. How come when, Buhari has recovered and the next thing he does is to disband this? This is getting interesting. Nigeria, be at alert and be very watchful. This is getting interesting. The president looks forward to receiving the final report. That is what Femi Adesina is saying. And again, recall that president had recently sacked Mr. Obono-Obla from heading the panel over allegation of corruption and high-handedness, because Osinbajo had actually complained that Obla was not taking directives from him. Rather, he goes to the president. But rather than the president to correct all the abnormalities, what the president has done is actually to pull the carpet from Osinbajo's feet. Again, he equally subsequent ordered that Obna be probed and be prosecuted, because there are a lot of complaints against Obla. Obla appeared to think that he was working for a man who was infallible. These things is actually getting interesting. It is really interesting to see that the president has finally stripped Osinbajo of all his powers, of all his, effigies of office. Could it be, that is what Njenje Media is asking, could it be that something is cooking? Could it be that, Mr. President is closing on something? Or, as some people have suggested in some forums today, that Osinbajo is being relieved of all these posts and these things closed because he is getting ready to start campaigning, his own presidential campaign bid for 2023. As others also argue that no, it is not as a result of Osinbajo getting ready for campaign. Rather, it is, and as they believe, that it is a way to curtail Osinbajo. By the time Osinbajo has no powers, then the next person might be Tinubu, in order for them to, the North, to implement their plan of having a Northerner become the president of Nigeria by 2023. Once more, this is Njenje Media Channel, and this is a developing story. We will be bringing you updates as we see them happen. Remain blessed.